Charles Dickens, did he do this all by himself?
Unaided.
Unaided?
Yeah, yes. Do you mean the writing or the reading?
No, the reading. I mean, of course he did.
Let's. I mean,
the writing.
I'm very proud to say, as a Brummie,
Someone from Birmingham. Ta-da!
that actually his first public reading was at the
Birmingham Town Hall.
yes. I think it was a town hall. It may have been in the Midland Institute, but anyway, it was in Birmingham. And of course, he certainly did perform in the town hall, which is a huge kind of pseudo-Grecian building. And of course, he had no microphones. It holds several thousand people.
Really? Several thousand?
Yeah. And he had his special reading desk he designed himself. And he stood there the whole time and did the whole thing by himself. And the first time, actually it's interesting because when he started, it was 3 hours long.
Wow.
Whoa.
Because he obviously read most of it
Yeah.
and decided that was a bit too much for the audience, I think. So he gradually cut it down shorter and shorter and cut out whole chunks. If you look at his copy, whole chunks just crossed out. But he eventually got it down to about 1 hour. So that he combined it with other things. And it was part of his very last reading.
Before he died.
Which essentially, those final readings essentially killed him.
Oh, really?
The effort of doing it. And he was only, 58?
Wow.
He read them in America too, did he?
Yeah.
I have endeavoured in this ghostly little book to raise the ghost of an idea, which shall not put my readers out of humour with themselves, with each other, with the season, or with me. May it haunt their houses pleasantly, and no one wish to lay it. Their faithful friend and servant, Charles Dickens, December 1843. Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner, Scrooge, signed it. And Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, upon a Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. The door of Scrooge's office was open so that he might keep an eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who was duly copying letters in a dismal little cell beyond.
Are you shivering, Cratchit?
Yes, sir.
Well, stop it. You'll make too many mistakes.
It is very cold, sir. I wonder if I might ask for another piece of coal.
Another piece? You mean you've already got one?
Yes.
One piece is quite enough. Coal is money. If you are cold, warm yourself at your candle. Right, Cratchit. Right!
Merry Christmas, Bob. And a Merry Christmas to you, sir. How's the family? Very well, thank you, sir.
Who is that?
It's me, Uncle, your nephew Fred. I've just come to wish you both a Merry Christmas.
Bah! Humbug!
Cratchit! Get on with your work!
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? Surely you don't mean that?
I do mean it. Out upon Christmas! What's Christmas time for you? But a time for paying your bills without money. A time for being 1 year older and not an hour richer.
Oh, don't be so cross, Uncle.
If I had my way.
Every idiot that goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and a stake of holly put through his heart.
Oh, Uncle.
Oh, nephew. Keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
But you don't keep it, Uncle.
Then let me leave it alone then.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come dine with us tomorrow.
I'd rather enter the fiery depths than to have dinner with you.
But why, Uncle?
Why? Why? Why did you get married?
Oh, well, I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
But, Uncle, you never came to see me before I got married. Why use it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry to find you so angry with me, but I shall maintain my Christmas humour to the last. So, Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
As Bob Cratchit let Fred out, he let in a portly gentleman. He was a pleasant-looking fellow who now stood by the door of the office and bowed.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Do I have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead for these 7 years. In fact, he died 7 years ago, this very night.
Oh, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. Mr. Scrooge, at this festive season of the year, we feel it is more than usually desirable to provide some slight provisions for the poor and destitute who suffer greatly at Christmas. Hundreds and thousands are in want.
Are there no prisons?
Yes, sir. There are plenty of prisons, but believing that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind and body, a few of us are endeavouring to put together a small fund to provide meat and drink and means of warmth for the poor. We choose this time of year because it is a time when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. Mr. Scrooge, what shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Nothing? Oh, you wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I pay my taxes. I help support the prisons and workhouses. They cost enough. And those who are badly off must go there.
Yes, sir, but many can't go there, and many would rather die.
Well, if they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population.
But, sir, don't you think you should show more pity on the poor?
Pity? That's not my business. It's enough for a man to know his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon.
I suppose you'll want the day off tomorrow?
Yes, sir. If it's quite convenient, sir.
No, it's not convenient. And it's not fair. You'd think yourself ill-used, wouldn't you, if I stopped you £0.50? But me? You don't think me ill-used when I have to pay you for a whole day's work and no work done?
But it's only once a year, sir.
Poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. Well, I suppose you must have the whole day. But be here all the earlier the next...
Yeah, I will, sir. Thank you, sir. And, Merry Christmas, sir.
Bah! What does Cratchit have to be merry about? With 15 shillings a week, and a wife, and family. Talking about a Merry Christmas. Bah! Humbug!
Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. Now, there was nothing particular about the knocker on the front door, except that it was very large. And yet, Scrooge, having his key in the lock, saw in the knocker not a knocker,
But Marley's face.
As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was the knocker again. Scrooge was not a man to be frightened by echoes, nor was he afraid of the dark, for darkness is cheap. Before Scrooge closed the door, he decided to check his rooms. He had just enough recollection of the face to desire to make sure. Nothing under the bed. No one in the closet. And nobody in his dressing gown, which was hanging in a suspicious attitude against the wall. Having searched his rooms, Scrooge, quite satisfied, closed the door and locked himself in. He double-locked it, which was not his custom.
How now? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me rather who I was.
You're very particular for a spirit. All right then. Who were you?
In life I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob Marley? How can that be? Humbug.
You don't believe in me?
No. Can you sit down?
I can.
Do it then.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Well, a little thing affects them. You might be a bit of undigested beef, or a blob of mustard, or a fragment of underdone potato. There's more of gravy than grave about you, whatever you are.
It's so hot in here.
It is? Mercy! Why do you trouble me?
Do you believe in me or not?
Oh, I do. I must. But why have you come to me?
It is destined that the spirit of every man, if it go not forth among its fellow men during life, must do so after death.
What is this chain?
This chain I forge myself, link by link. I gird it of my own free will. Do you not feel the weight of the chain you bear yourself? It was as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago, and you have laboured on it since. Oh, it is a ponderous chain.
Jacob, my old friend, tell me more. Speak comfort to me.
I have none to speak. My spirit never walked beyond the confines of our money-changing hole, Ebenezer. So weary journeys lie ahead.
But you were a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! The common welfare was my business. Mercy, charity, and benevolence were all my business. Hear me, Ebenezer. My time grows short. I have come tonight to warn you that you still have a hope and chance of escaping my fate.
You were always good to me, Jacob.
You will be visited by 3 spirits. Expect the first when the clock strikes 1 is finished. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And expect the third the following night, when the last stroke of 12 ceases vibrating. And look to see me no more, Ebenezer. Marley had warned him of a visitation when the bell tolled 1. He resolved to lie awake until the hour was past. 1/4 past. 1/2 past.
1:45.
The hour itself, and nothing else. Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past. The things that you'll see with me are the shadows of the things that have been. They will have no consciousness of us. Now rise, Ebenezer, and walk with me.
O spirit, I am but mortal. I cannot pass through walls and windows.
Just bear a touch of my hand.
With one touch of the hand, Scrooge and the ghost passed through the wall and stood in the busy streets of a city. They walked along streets and alleys until the ghost stopped in front of a warehouse.
Do you know this place? Know it? I was apprenticed here.
Yo there, Ebenezer! Dick! It's Christmas Eve, Dick. Christmas Eve, Ebenezer.
Why, it's old Fezziwig, bless his heart. It's Fezziwig alive again.
Clear away, boys.
There was nothing they wouldn't have cleared away with old Fezziwig looking on. Every movable was packed off, the floor swept and watered, the lamps were trimmed, fuel was heaped upon the fire.
Yes, I remember. And then there was the party afterwards.
In came a fiddler with a music book. He went up to the lofty desk and made an orchestra of it and tuned like 50 stomachaches. In came Mrs. Fezziwig, one vast, substantial smile. In came the Fezziwig daughters, beaming and lovely. In came the young followers whose hearts the daughters broke. In came all the young men and women employed in the business. Some boldly, some shyly, some awkwardly, some pushing and some pulling. Away they all went, 20 couples at once, down the middle and up again, round and round in various stages of affectionate grouping. At last old Fezziwig clapped his hands to stop the dance and cried out, "Well done!" Whereupon the fiddler plunged his face into a pot of porter, especially provided for the purpose. When the clock struck 11, the domestic ball broke up. Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig took their stations, one on either side of the door, shaking hands with every person and wishing everyone a Merry Christmas.
What's the matter, Ebenezer?
I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk, Bob Cratchit, just now.
Well, my time grows short.
This was not addressed to Scrooge, or to anyone whom he could see, but it produced an immediate effect, for again he saw himself. He was older, a man in the prime of life. He sat by the side of a woman wearing a mourning dress. She looked at him,
and began to tell him what they had kept suppressed inside their hearts. "It matters little," she said softly. "To you, very little. Another idol has displaced me. A golden one. Gain engrosses you. Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until we could improve our worldly fortune. You are changed. How often I have thought of this I cannot say. It is enough that I have thought of it. Tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now? Ah, no. Goodbye, Ebenezer. May you find happiness in the life you have chosen."
Remove me! I cannot bear it! Leave me! Take me back home! Haunt me no longer!
I told you that these are the shadows of the things that have been. They are what they are. Do not blame me.
Come in, Ebenezer Scrooge. Know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the likes of me before, have you?
Never.
Have never walked forth with the younger members of my family?
I don't think I have. Have you had many brothers, Spirit?
Oh, more than 1,800!
Tremendous family to provide for. Spirit, conduct me where you will.
Touch my robe.
Scrooge did as he was told. The room and its contents all vanished instantly, and they stood in the city streets upon a snowy Christmas morning. There was nothing very cheerful about the climate, and yet there was an air of cheerfulness abroad. And at the same time there emerged innumerable people carrying their dinners to the bakers' shops to be cooked. Then Scrooge and the Spirit passed on straight to Bob Cratchit's house.
Are the potatoes done yet, Peter?
I think they're still a bit too hard, Mother. Shall I, boil them a bit more?
Oh, well, that's up to you, Peter. You're in charge of potatoes.
Yes, Mother.
I just wonder where your precious father is. And your little brother, Tiny Tim.
Oh, they went for a walk in the park, Mother.
Right.
Oh, I think I can hear them coming now.
Oh, really?
Yes, there they are.
Oh!
Hello, Father.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Tiny Tim.
Oh, and Tiny Tim on your father's shoulder.
Potatoes.
In came Bob with at least 3 feet of comforter hanging down before him, and Tiny Tim was on his shoulder. But, alas for Tiny Tim, he bore a little crutch, and had his limbs supported by an iron frame.
And how did little Timmy behave?
Oh, he was as good as gold,
Oh.
if not better.
Oh.
You know, he gets very thoughtful sometimes. I think it's sitting all alone that does it, you know, so much. And he thinks the strangest things you've ever heard. In the church today,
he said that he hoped people saw him because he was a cripple. And he thought it would be pleasant for them to remember who it was who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. But I think he's growing strong and hearty.
Then Bob compounded some hot mixture in a jug with gin and lemons. He stirred it round and round, and then put it on the hob to simmer. Master Peter and the two ubiquitous young Cratchits went to fetch the goose. The gravy was ready beforehand in a saucepan. Master Peter mashed the potatoes with incredible vigour. Bob took Tiny Tim beside him in a tiny corner at the table and said grace. Then there was a breathless pause as Mrs. Cratchit looked slowly all along the carving knife, preparing to plunge it into the breast of the goose. But when she did, and the long-expected gush of stuffing issued forth, one murmur of delight arose all around the table. There never was such a goose. Its tenderness and flavour, size and cheapness were the themes of universal admiration. Eked out by the apple sauce and mashed potatoes, it was a sufficient dinner for the whole family. In half a minute Mrs. Cratchit returned with the pudding like a speckled cannonball, so hard and firm, blazing in ignited brandy, and with a piece of Christmas holly stuck in the top. Everybody had something to say about it, but nobody said, or thought, that it was at all a small pudding for such a large family. Any Cratchit would have blushed to hint at such a thing. At last the dinner was all done. Then Bob proposed a toast.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears.
God bless us all.
God bless us all. Oh, and one more toast. Here's to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon.
My dear, Christmas Day, the children.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. Why, you know he is, Robert. Nobody knows better than you.
My dear, Christmas Day.
Well, all right. I'll drink his health for your sake and for the day's, but not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge.
The Cratchits were not a handsome family, but they were happy and pleased with one another, and contented with the time. And when they faded away, and looked happier yet in the bright sprinklings of the Spirit's torch, Scrooge could hear Tiny Tim cry out,
God bless us, everyone.
Then the Spirit led Scrooge to the home of his nephew Fred. Fred was sitting and talking to his niece.
Well, as I was saying about Uncle Scrooge, he said he believed Christmas was a humbug. As I live. He believed it too. Oh, he's a comical old fellow, that's the truth. And not so pleasant as he might be. However, his offences carry their own punishment.
I'm sure he's very rich.
But what use does his wealth do him? He doesn't use it to make himself more comfortable. And I'm sure he has no idea of benefiting us with it.
What? He said Scrooge has no idea of benefiting us with his money.
Oh, I have no patience with him.
I know, but who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. And what are the consequences? Well, he don't lose much of a dinner.
What? I think he loses a very good dinner. But do go on.
What I was going to say is, the consequence of him taking a dislike to us is that he loses some pleasant moments.
What? He said pleasant moments.
Some present moments?
Pleasant moments.
Well, he has no one to blame but himself.
He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it. I defy him if he finds me going there in a good temper year after year and saying, "Merry Christmas, Uncle Scrooge." And if it puts him in a good vein to leave his poor clerk £50, then something has been achieved.
Oh, Fred, you can't mean that.
Then they began a game called Yes and No.
Is it an animal?
Yes, it is. 1.
Is it a disagreeable animal?
Yes, it is. 2.
Does it live in London?
Oh, yes. 3. Is it dangerous? Yes, rather. 4.
Does it walk on the street?
Yes, it does. 5.
Is it a live animal?
Yes. 6.
Does it appear in a show?
No. 7. Is it led around by someone? No, it isn't. 8. Does it live in a zoo? No, it doesn't. 9.
Does it grunt?
Yes, sometimes. 10.
Does it roar?
Yes, sometimes. 11.
Is it a pig?
No. 12. We must be going.
Is it a horse? Must we leave, Spirit?
Is it a cow?
We must. My time draws near.
Is it a bear? 1/2 hour, Spirit. Only one.
Is it a cat?
Does it growl?
Yes, 17.
Is it a tiger?
No, 18. 2 left, only 2 left. Does it talk? Yes, it talks. 1 question left.
Do we know it?
Yes, we know it.
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's your Uncle Scrooge.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My life on this globe is very brief.
Are spirits' lives so short?
It ends tonight.
Tonight.
tonight at midnight. And the time is drawing near.
Suddenly the spirit produced from under his robe 2 wretched, frightful, hideous, miserable children.
Are these children yours?
No, Ebenezer. They are the children of mankind. This boy's name is Ignorance, and this girl's name is Want. Beware of them, Ebenezer. They are both very dangerous.
But don't they have a home or anything to eat?
I pay my taxes. I help support the prisons and workhouses. And those who are badly off must go there, 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 must go there.
In the presence of the Christmas yet to come? I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. But I know your purpose is to do me good. So, as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to keep your company and do it with a thankful heart.
No, I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What was the matter with him?
God knows.
What has he done with his money?
Ah, I haven't heard. Left it to the company, perhaps? He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know.
Nor me, neither!
Oh, it's likely to be a very cheap funeral.
Well, upon my life, I don't know anybody to go to it.
Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
Only if there's something to eat.
Very well, then. Well, good day, gentlemen.
I always give too much to the ladies, Mrs. Dilber. It's a great weakness of mine, and that's the way I'll ruin myself. Oh, what do we have here, Mrs. Dilber? Oh, bed curtains. Oh, Mrs. Dilber. You don't mean to say you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?
And why ever not?
Oh, Mrs. Dilber, you were born to make a fortune, and you certainly will. Oh, Hey. He didn't die of anything catching, did he?
Oh, don't be afraid of that, Joe. Oh, I ain't so fond of his company that I'd be loitering around him even if he did. Joe, you may look through that shirt until your eyes ache, but you won't find any holes in it. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. It'd have been wasted if it hadn't been for me.
What do you mean by wasting of it?
Putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure.
Somebody was fool enough to do it. But I took it off him again. What a blooming waste. Calico's quite becoming to the body. He can't look any uglier than he did in that one. This is the end of it, you see. I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. Spirit, let me see some tenderness connected with a death. The colour hurts my eyes. It makes them weak by candlelight. But I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home for the world. He should be coming home soon. Yes, I have known him walk with Tiny Tim on his shoulder very fast indeed. But then he was light to carry. And your father loved him so. It was no trouble. No trouble. Oh, you must be very cold, my dear. Tea will be ready soon.
Thank you, my dear. Oh. I see you've been working very hard today.
Yes.
So it'll be ready by Sunday then?
Yes. You went there today then, Robert?
Yes. I wish you could have gone with me. It would have done you good to see how green it is. But you'll see it often. I promised Tim that we will go on a Sunday. My little child. My poor child.
Tiny Tim.
Oh, it's likely to be very
Upon my life, I don't know anything.
What do you mean by waste?
Putting it on him to be sure.
No, I don't know much about it either. I only know he's dead.
Dead.
Before I draw near to that stone, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be? Or are they shadows of things that may be?
Ebenezer Scrooge! Spirit! I am not the man I was. Tell me that I can change these shadows if I change myself. Why show me all this if I am past all hope? I will change. I will change.
I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. Wait a minute. I don't know which day of the month it is. I don't know anything. I don't know how long I was with the spirits. I'm like a baby. I'm like a baby. Wow, wow, just like a baby.
Hello! Down there! Young man! What day is it today?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day, of course.
I haven't missed it. The spirits, they've done it all in one night. Well, of course, they can do anything they like.
Do you know the poulterers on the next street but one on the corner?
I should hope I did, yeah.
Now, can you tell me whether the prize turkey that was hanging there has been sold?
You mean the one as big as me?
I want you to go and buy it.
I'll send the turkey to Bob Cratchit. He won't know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim.
Scrooge went to church and then walked about the streets and found that everything could yield him pleasure.
Oh, Mr. Marley. Actually, my name is Scrooge. Oh, Mr. Scrooge, yes, and I think you may have unpleasant memories of my name.
No, not at all, sir. Yes, good.
Please allow me to apologise for what
Yes,
I
of
said
course, of course.
yesterday. And perhaps you would also allow me to...
Oh, bless me, Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
Oh, no, yes, not a farthing less. And it includes a great many back payments, I can assure you.
I don't know what to say to such generosity.
Oh, please do not say anything.
Yeah.
Come and see me again at my office tomorrow, if you will.
In the afternoon, he turned his steps towards his nephew Fred's house.
It's me, your Uncle Scrooge, Fred. I've come for dinner. Will you let me in?
Let him in? It's a mercy Fred didn't shake his uncle's arm off. Scrooge was at home in 5 minutes. They had a wonderful dinner, a wonderful party, and wonderful games, including yes and no. The following morning, Scrooge was early at the office. Oh, he was early there. If he could be there first and catch Bob coming late.
Cratchit,
Yes, Mr. Scrooge.
what do you mean by coming in here at this time of the day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
Oh, yes. Yes, you are indeed behind your time. And you promised me that you'd be all the earlier today.
I'm very sorry, sir. It shall not happen again. It's only once a year, sir, and I was making a little merry yesterday, sir.
Oh, you were you?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, my friend, I am not going to stand for it. And furthermore, I'm going to...
No, Mr. Scrooge.
raise your salary. Yes, yes, Bob, yes. A Merry Christmas to you, Bob. A merrier Christmas than I have ever given, Bob. Yes, I shall raise your salary, and I shall endeavour to do my best to help your struggling family. In fact,
Scrooge was
shall
better than
discuss
his word.
your
He did it all,
situation.
and infinitely more. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them. For his own heart laughed, and that was good enough for him. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die,
He was a second father.
And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. The